La 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 la.
Hello, Chris Walker here with Big Angie Fan Channel here in beautiful Hawaii. Apples, oranges, and tomatoes. Where is Chris going with these fruits in the title? Well, I'm talking about comparisons. I often get flack about making comparisons between Angelina Jordan and other artists. And I agree. Art is very subjective, especially music as an art is very subjective. But I still think that it's valid for me to make comparisons. So first of all, of course, apples and oranges is one objection, comparing a singer with Angelina's style with a singer with a very much different style, somebody like Beyonce or Taylor Swift, is comparing apples and oranges because they're so different. Well, my main answer to that is that I'm looking at what is the common denominator between them is like the artistic level. I remember back in the 60s, some people from the older generation, such as my mom, would talk about liking, Bach, Beethoven, and the Beatles. The Beatles and Beethoven are definitely apples and oranges stylistically, but she ranked them, and I'd have to agree with her on that, she ranked them, the Beatles, up there with Beethoven and Bach because of artistic quality. So when I compare singers of different styles, I'm saying that, they don't measure up to Angelina Jordan. I'm talking about that artistic quality that shines through whatever the genre is.
Share my life, take me from what I am. I'll never change all my colors for you. Take my love, I'll never ask for too much. All that you are and everything that you do. I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back today. This passion inside can't run from myself. There's no way to
But yes, I completely agree with those who say that, on an individual level, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You're never going to argue anybody into liking an artist. But I also say that that's only on an individual level. I think that there is something called beauty and art that is something that is out there. It's very hard to define. That's why when you get up to the higher levels of artistry, you're never going to be able to say, Mozart is better than Beethoven. But you can say that Beethoven is better than Taylor Swift because, there is something called art that is independent of the beholder. Beauty is partially in the eye of the beholder. So the explanation that I've always given for different people having different views is that they're looking at this thing that really is out there called art, but they're looking at it through different filters, so based on their life experience and so on. So of course they're going to have different reactions. But there is that art and beauty, and I think that there are ways that you can look for it. So how do you look for it? Well, one way, of course, is by how many people are moved by an artist. But you can't just, it's not just a simple popularity contest, because then of course you'd have to say that somebody like Taylor Swift is a much better artist than Bach, or some classical artist that doesn't get nearly the amount of radio play as somebody like Taylor Swift. Art is not simply popularity. But then getting a little bit closer to it, you can talk about a number of people who appreciate an artist who have some special knowledge about it, like musicians judging other musicians, critics, people who have a special knowledge in the field. That gets closer, but this is where my tomatoes word from the title comes in. There is a website called Rotten Tomatoes, which mostly rates movies, and they have this tomato meter, and basically the more positive reviews versus negative reviews a movie gets, the higher the score. But the problem with that is it's just looking at whether something is liked or not liked without any regard to the level of that liking. For example, the last thing that I read of what the tomato meter ranked as the greatest movie of all time was Toy Story 2. Now, that's not a bad movie by any means, but I doubt that most people would say it's the greatest movie of all time. But it ranked as the greatest simply because almost everybody, at least kind of liked it and gave it a thumbs up review, and very few people thought it was bad and gave it a thumbs down review. The ranking does not take into account at all, how strongly the critic liked the movie. So, you can get a bunch of critics rating Toy Story 2 as a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, and nobody rating it a 4 or a 3, so it's all thumbs up. Whereas, some much better movies, think of some old classic Citizen Kane or something, might get a whole bunch of 8s and 9s, but then a few people, because it is, as often happens with artistic works, there's a few people who don't get it and give it like a 3, and so it gets a thumbs down from those few people. And that, since the number of positive reviews, the ratio of positive to negative is not quite as high with Citizen Kane, it gets ranked lower. So, obviously the problem with that is you have to look at quality of the appreciation. And so that's where I come back to Angelina Jordan. And in my comparisons, I'm talking about, sure, there are many other singers who have a lot of fans who really like them, a lot of singers who have a lot more fans, but what is the quality of that liking? How much do they like her? Does the liking of her extend to making them do things like listening to her almost exclusively, her or him, whoever the singer is, or starting a YouTube channel just to promote her like I did, listening to her even though she's singing mostly songs in some genre that you normally don't listen to, and various things like that I went into in a video I had about whether Angelina Jordan was one of the greatest of all time. I do think that she is, but it's that kind of thing. You can't use a scale. You certainly can't use just a popularity scale, because art is not about popularity. Popularity is kind of the lowest common denominator. But you also can't just use a scale of, well, all of these critics, like this composer, more critics like this singer or this composer or this movie director than like that one, without taking into account the reasons for their liking it and how intense their liking is. And basically, with Angelina Jordan, I don't have to just look at myself. I can look at other people that have been affected by her, and I get this all of the time in comments to my videos. I've never heard anybody who, touches me the way she does. I've been listening to music for 50 years and I've had many favorites before, but nobody touches me like she does. Or, I used to think that I hated her kind of music until I started listening to her. All of the things like that. I'll have a link to that video I had made before.
Maybe life is a warm embrace from someone safe, or maybe life's just a memory. We come, we see, we go, feeding buzz with my little sister. After all, she's the love of my life. Life is beautiful. Love life with all the good and bad, and the good and bad.
The depth and quality of the appreciation that people feel for Angelina Jordan indicates to me that's pretty strong evidence that there really is something there. It's hard to define, but that definitely exists, and that other singers do not approach that. Even though they might be more popular, they might get more thumbs up. They don't get like all 10 fingers up like I would give. All right, Chris Walker with Big Angie Fan Channel here in beautiful Hawaii. Aloha.
I'm tired of being played like a violin. What do I gotta do to win your heart, baby? Won't you stop loving? Don't quit loving. Just stop loving me. Why, when baby, I'm just fighting with fire just to get lost in burns on, baby. Yeah, I'm run for miles just to get a taste. Must be left from the rain. It's got me feeling this way. If it's sweet like in blue, but it's all good and I can't get enough. Must be left from the rain. It's got me cursing my name. No matter what I do, I'm no good without you, and I can't get enough. Must be love on the rain. Now you keep on loving. Tusen takk. Hvordan har jeg det allerede? How you guys doing?